What is something awesome you recently learned about? The teeth of marine animals called limpets might be the strongest natural material yet documented, even stronger than spider silk, the previous record holder. Those don't look like how I was expecting them to. Only find I've ever heard limpet is Mr. Limpet. I thought it was just his name. T-Rexes were born with proportional size arms. Sometime during adolescence, their arms just stopped growing. Adolescence? Damn. Right when he needed it most. I feel the same way about my never mind. I have a half-brother I didn't know about for 45 years. He found me through Ancestry.com. Turned out my dad has donated some sperm back in 1973, and David was the result. That's not the weirdest part. It turns out Dave was a totally unknown mutual friend to me of a really good buddy who'd moved to a different part of the country, and so we met at a coffee shop and had a good laugh about all we had in common. I gave him a picture of our father, who sadly passed in 2004, and I could tell it really meant something to him. That's a nice story, thank you for sharing it. This was so sweet. Thank you. Axolotls can recognize their owners. Meaning my axolotl actually is saying hi to me. This made me happy. Till what an axolotl was. Looked it up thinking it was some kind of smartphone. What a cute surprise. The king of Siam tried to give Abraham Lincoln war elephants to handle the Confederates. That would have been awesome to see. Until they turned the cannons on them. The Kenyan Maasai tribe donated 14 cows to the United States in the wake of the 11th of September 2001 terrorist attacks. Pistachios are closely related to mangoes. And a non-dried pistachio kind of looks and vaguely tastes like a mini mango. This might explain why my stepdad has an anaphylactic reaction to both, and nothing else. A non-dried pistachio? I thought it was a nut, blowing my mind here. That Jupiter spins so fast, it isn't actually a sphere, it bulges out at the equator like this. The Earth also does this but to a much smaller degree. They are called obloid spheroids I believe. And there's a dwarf planet called Haumea that spins so fast it's basically shaped like a potato. Walking through the national parks in Utah, Zion, Capitol Reef, Grand Staircase, Arches, Canyonlands. The geological lessons are just amazing. Hey, see that red layer over there? That was deposited when Utah was at the equator and this land was all under a sea. Oh, and the gray layer over there, that was deposited when Utah was hundreds of miles south of here and this was a great sand desert like the Gobi. That applying lotion while still wet from the shower and air drying locks in moisture much better and is better for your skin. I started doing this after I learned about it from a dermatologist and it is accurate, but it sucks to just stand there waiting to dry for so long. So it's not going to be for everybody. It puts the lotion on its skin, but only after getting the hose again. How to open pineapples. You two up? Yeah mate, that one was really good. Neanderthals are called Neanderthals because the first Neanderthal skeleton was found in a valley called Neanderthal Valley. Also the Tal part is pronounced Tal. It means valley in German. Current German spelling is Tal. All nouns are capitalized in German. It was the valley of the Neander River. Even better, Neander means new man, although it was a coincidence. Filipino freedom fighters during and after World War II. It's a whole theater I never learned anything about. There's a book called Ghost Soldiers which is about a raid on a World War II POW camp by US Army Rangers and Filipino soldiers. It's been a few years, but I remember it being a really good read. I had a relative who was a part of the raid, so that was cool too. Europeans ate mummies for a real long time. Whoa. You made me stop to Google this. Greater than since the 12th century, Europeans had been eating Egyptian mummies as medicine. In later centuries unmummified corpses were passed off as mummy medicine, and eventually some Europeans no longer cared whether the bodies they were ingesting had been mummified or not. Reminds of that Futurama gag about jerky. I recently watched a documentary on Hitler's nephew and how 3 out of 4 of his kids are still living and they made a pact to never have kids. Was mostly about the nephew. Very interesting and gave interesting perspective that people don't learn about. His nephew was actually kind of an asshole from what I remember. He had a job in Germany that Hitler gave him, it wasn't good enough, he went to Britain then America and joined the military there, becoming famous for fighting against his uncle. Apparently he still would have joined him if he could get a better job, but Hitler didn't or couldn't do that. I don't think that's fair for them since they're far removed from Hitler. Because they might have children who are great orators and could change the world for the better. Just like Anakin versus Luke Skywalker. The bad egg is the bad egg. But the good eggs will use the same power for good? Some owls sleep on their bellies and it looks hilarious. Edit, here are some pictures. It's always something new with these MFS. Edith Wilson, wife of Woodrow Wilson, could be considered the first female US president. After then President Woodrow Wilson had suffered a stroke, his wife had stepped in to unofficially be the acting president, all while misleading the public and the president's administration. She would go on to serve 17 months in this position, until the end of Wilson's presidency. I was reading one book that said anytime someone had papers for Woodrow to sign, she said she'd take care of it. Then she'd go into his room and come out later with a signature that kind of looked like his. So it wasn't a blatantly obvious thing. Just like animal mutations, there are plant mutations. A common one is fasciation, and it's basically what happens when nature forgets to put in a stop in the plant's code. The structure of the plant just keeps going until it realizes it needs to stop. It's really cool in cactus. Edit, thank you to all the people correcting the spelling. I struggle with that a lot and just go with what spell check gives me. The flowers came up in Google searches so I didn't think much of it. Looks like a bunch of messed up panoramas. Am I the only one that hates looking at these? They make me really uncomfortable lol. It's actually fasciation not fascination. And mutations are way common in plants, that's how we have so many varieties of various crops. My fav form of plant mutation is variegation in houseplants. Even something as simple and common as a golden pothos can produce truly magnificent variegated foliage. Can you imagine being that flower, getting longer and longer, nervously thinking that you're pretty sure you should have stopped at some point back there? But you're not sure where, and what are you supposed to do now? Do you just keep going? Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.